Oh, I gotta check. Oh, there we go. All right, there we go. Let's see. All right. Morning. Anybody catch the race? Just happened. It's like there's a little bit of chat going on there. The guy with the broken collarbone won. That's intense. All right. So, just need a moment here to make sure I got everything running well. Okay. People can hear me. I can see chat. I think I got it figured out. Gotta finish drinking my green tea. Get a little bit of caffeine going on there. Kim Little, hey. Good to see you. Thanks. Yeah, I was gonna probably talk about the race this weekend a little bit. That's fun stuff. We had our first Wisconsin Off-Road Series race on Saturday. Normally they're on Sunday, but they tried something different at this one. I forgot my fan started. All right. So let's see. So yeah, we had our first race, and it's kind of a new venue. They actually did like a experiment with this race last year. Just kind of put on their own event. But now it's a part of Wisconsin Off-Road Series. Last year, it like downpoured before and during, I think, the race. Okay. So it's at this grass-fed beef farm. So it's most of the races are not at like private-ish properties. So yeah, it's at this grass-fed beef farm. I mean, it's just this family that comes and has been racing for a long time. They have all this land, and over the years had made their own trails out there. I think they had like trails that were more, I don't know, like ATV style, and then just kind of worked on turning them into bike trails and slowly building up more single track. So it was a really neat and different venue. Hey everybody, Angela Wells, good morning. Hey, you rode London this morning? All right. Luke, hey, thank you. Says congrats on my podium at Wars. Kyle Augustin says, good morning. Hey, buddy. They were supposed to race sometime, hey? Just kidding. Yeah, Kim Little says, beef and bike trails, what's not to like? Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, they had like, they were selling their own like homemade beef jerky there. They had a live band after the event. They had like a, I don't know, some sort of food truck or something that somebody was making wood-fired pizzas. And last year they were selling a whole bunch of different types of their own beef. So yeah, they actually were able to, with the amount of land they had, pull off, I think, like a 4-mile loop. And nothing as far as climbing, really. But it was a lot of really fast, like twisty through these big wide open grassy areas. You'd kind of switch back and forth. They had all these wood berms, so you could really keep some speed. It was pretty fun. I mean, I tend not to care for like flatter courses, ones that have so much just open stretches like that. But they made it interesting by just keeping the course kind of twisty for the most part. But they did have a couple really great sections of single track and like 2 pretty big rock gardens they were tricky, but you're really able to keep some speed through them still. So that was really fun. Whenever there's elements like that in a race, people tend to kind of congregate there and watch what happens, watch the riders try to make it through or crash or see who goes through really fast. Super fun. And a couple points, like flying along some fence line. All the cows are sitting there on the side making noises. Definitely a different kind of venue for us. So I actually had to sprint for the line for the first time in my life, in real life racing. Mountain bike racing, especially more so at the, at a local event in the Cat 1 or Pro category for the women, there's just not a ton of women. So it's pretty rare because mountain biking tends to split up riders more than road bike racing. So at least for the women, it's pretty rare that you're close enough to somebody by the end of a race to have to sprint for the line. So yeah, in all my years of racing, it's been really on and off. I've never had to do that before. So that was kind of a epic race finish for me. The race organizers really went to like great lengths to make it a good event. So they had some really big payouts. We don't quite normally have payouts quite that big. So that was cool. It actually drew in a couple more people than would maybe normally be there otherwise, at least for the women. So that was cool to see that. There's riders that will sign up for the whole series, and then but you can, anyone can kind of sign up for one race at a time. So there's 2 women there who are really fast. I think mainly road cyclists who came out and showed up for that. So they ended up first and second, but I was only 15 seconds off of second place, which, like I said, in mountain biking is a pretty small time gap. And yeah, so I had to race for the line. I was in 4th position almost the whole race. We were kind of in a lead group for the first lap. A little less than a lap. I think I just fell off the pain train. And note to self kind of a thing. It's a lot to it's just a lot to pack everything up and get Nathan and I and our 2 kids that race to the races, and then get our other kids off to grandparents. Nathan's mom is like super helpful with taking the kids for racing and stuff, and a lot of our other family too. So I think I came into the race and probably just hadn't eaten enough that morning, probably not the night before. So throughout the course of the race, I was just slamming gels. So about 5 gels later, I started to feel really good. And then at the end, my last lap, so we did 3.5 laps. So my last lap, I started gaining time. And there's a big, wide open, pretty long, flat stretch right before the finish line. And the woman in 3rd place is the one who won last year, our series. She's a friend of mine. She's great. So I came flying up on her right before the finish and just hammered. It's the kind of thing that you're like, think that you hope you can pull it off, but doesn't often happen. But I did it. I made it. It's pretty awesome. I'm going to sprint from somebody for the line and taking it. Actually fell over off my bike afterwards and laid in the grass, trying to catch my breath and not pass out. So good stuff. It's a good way to start the season. Luke Peterson, hi. What's your favorite Warriors Wisconsin Off-Road Series race? Some new challenging trail section on the Firecracker this year. We started building it on Saturday. That's exciting. I feel like there hasn't been new trail there in a really long time, at least in my memory of the race course. So that'll be cool. All right, let me think. What's my favorite? I don't know. I do like Mount Morris. I tend to like the ones that have a little more climbing and single track. Sheboygan was always a favorite of mine. It's kind of a bummer that that's gone. Klatz asks, do you have any races southeast Wisconsin? Let me think. Southeast. We have one in Lake Geneva. I think that's the only one that would fall in the realm of anywhere close to southeast Wisconsin. Yeah, I'm trying to think. That's about it. I mean, we're kind of in southeast Wisconsin. So there's one in Waukesha, which is fairly close to Milwaukee. But yeah, Luke, I think Sheboygan was one of my favorites. I've won there the last 2 years. Charlie has something to do with it, but Sheboygan has a lot of really kind of like short, punchy, almost kind of like disjointed sections to it. And that kind of tends to like favor my riding style. I do really well in like short, hard bursts kind of over and over again. It's hard for me to remember. I even get confused as to which races are in the circuit anymore and which aren't. So look at the schedule. But one thing that's cool is it's definitely feeling the Zwift effect out there at that race, which is awesome because I do get concerned about not being able to trail ride enough. But the last couple of times I've been at the trails, I've noticed that my high end fitness and threshold is just at such a better place than it used to be, that part of what's tricky about mountain biking is when you're redlining it and you're putting in these super intense efforts and you're up above your threshold, then you tend to get a little when your limbs fatigue, or even your whole body, right? You start to get that kind of tired, floppy feeling. And then you have to go navigate insanely technical sections of course. So there's a trick in that for sure. So I noticed that, there are, when you're out mountain biking, there's so many spots where you, even just for a second or two, stop pedaling, you're taking a corner, or you're standing up on the bike to descend or navigate something bumpy or technical. That I'm doing all that better because the rest of my fitness is higher, so I'm not hitting that red line or just over the line maybe as often as I used to be. So that's pretty cool. There was a couple spots at the race where there'd just be a long, straight, flat stretch for maybe like 1,000 feet, something like that maybe. where I could just stand up and just stand up and pound and get the wheels spinning really high, and then sit down and tuck in and just hammer. So that's a winter of Zwift racing, money in the bank, paying off in real life for sure. It's good stuff. Clat says, I'll have to look those up. Never seen a mountain bike race. Yeah, I think it depends on the race, but they can be super fun to watch if the course comes back around to easily viewable sections enough. Some of the courses, they're able to design them better, where they'll kind of come in and out of like a main spectator area a couple times. But then a lot of them will have these features on them. Luke Peterson, who was just talking to me about it, the trails that their race that they host is in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, more on the west side. And there's this big, it's not that big, but it's really tricky rock garden with like a sharp left-hand turn at the bottom of it. And then right after it, I think you have to cross a river. So last year, they set up like a big beer tent on a part of the course, just a little ways over, where you could see a couple other parts of the course, but you had a really good view of the rock garden, so people could just sit out there in this tent in the shade and buy beer and watch people ride the rock garden and crash. There's lots of crashing there, which I think is flipping hilarious. They're onto something there. The tent was pretty packed all day. Yeah, first race of the year tends to just hurt so bad. It's like you can do these super hard workouts or even prep races. I don't know, it's not quite the same. So Saturday night after the race, this happens to me every once in a while. I'm like laying in bed trying to sleep, and anytime I have the blanket over my legs, they're like radiating so much heat. They just start like roasting and sweating. That's some major muscle tear down there. Your body's working really hard to recover. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced the radiator legs. That's what I call it. It's like when you get like I don't know if you get a really bad bruise or something, or any sort of injury like that. They're hot to the touch usually. When your skin gets red, it's kind of what's going on with the legs. Rush says right on. Thank you. Johnny, what's up? I love that watching people crash. When I used to travel around Europe kayaking, to sit at a rapid and watch tourists get flipped. Oh my goodness. Something I've never thought of. Kurt Caldwell says, throbbing legs for me. I have to get up and walk around at night. Yeah, ideally for me, I would have taken a nice cold bath because I know when that's coming on. But I just got to bed so late. I was so tired. But if I had done that, I probably would have slept better. That totally solves it for me. The ice bath thing. I think I still had that going on the next day. I tried to take a nap when the kids were napping. Still, my legs were like radiating heat. So I don't know if any of you had a chance to catch up with Nathan at all, but he had kind of a bummer race. He has really bad seasonal allergies, especially to grass. So, and pollen, really bad with pollen. So actually that's one of the reasons indoor training and especially like racing on Zwift has been helpful for him the last couple years. Because the more he's exposed to the pollen, the worse the reactions get. So, this time, so the first race of the year is almost always really rough for him. Last year, I think was probably one of the first times he had a really great first race because the race was up north. And even though it was May, it snowed. It was still snowing. It snowed for a little bit the night before. And then even that morning, it was miserable. But it was great for him, for his race, because there was no pollen in the air then. I don't think it had even started up there yet. But yeah, Saturday, first race, we're at a grass-fed beef farm with fields and fields of freshly cut grass. So you guys have to give him some encouragement with training the next couple weeks so he can come out to the next Wars race in 2 weeks and kill it. Frank the Tank, good morning. Late to the party. Not that much of a party this morning. Oh, am I tired still from I was spent most of the time so far talking about our race this past weekend. Oy. Good stuff. Some good Zwift effect going on for me in the race last weekend. Kurt says, yeah, so what happened to you on Tuesday night, coughing from pollen and got dropped. Yeah. That really stinks because there's only so much you can do for that with medication. And half the things that would be helpful for it are banned or whatever. But yeah, I mean, Nathan's allergies are so bad that, like even when the pollen touches his skin, he starts to get hives and puff up and his face gets all puffy. So it's like, can you imagine what that's doing in your lungs when you're like breathing that in? Ugh. So yeah, once pollen season is over, he's usually ready to rock. Yeah. Zwift effect is, as Frank says, Zwift effect is strong this spring, despite the pollen. Uh-huh. The Rush says, watching more Zwift means less sleep. Tough choices, I know. Yeah, Nathan used to do that. Wear a mask. But yeah, once you start gasping for air, that doesn't exactly help. Oh my goodness. So this Saturday, we're gonna do a endurance mountain bike race as a team, which is fun. So basically you can pick either like a time or a distance depending on the race, how they organize it. So I think we're gonna do like a 6 hour. And then it's however many laps you can get in the time. So you trade off doing laps, like a relay almost. So that's not one of our regular like series races. That is the focus of our training and competition, but those are good for training. So my thought is that I'm going to do that on Saturday and then maybe hit up the Kiss 100 on Sunday. I have to see how that goes. Kiss 100 is particularly miserable in a good way, but that might give me an extra special level of difficulty. That race for me usually ends up being somewhere around like 240, 250 if I'm having a rough day. And once you hit the 2 hour mark, it's like, just want it to be over. But if I do end up doing the Kiss 100, I think I'll try to prepare enough ahead of time that I can stream it. So, okay, how many fans, the Rush question, how many fans do we have set up in our pain cave? We have one tiny fan, about that big. We have one of those ginormous metal industrial fans, and we have an air conditioner in here. So options, it's cold enough outside, like in the winter, I'll just blow the cold air in through the window. But obviously in summertime, we'll have to run the AC. Oh, Kurt says, Was that your first Kiss 100 you did last weekend? Yeah. Didn't expect the start would be so hard. Yep. And go full throttle from the start. Quadsworth did an epic 135-mile ride Sunday. Come on back to Virginia for some TSS overload. That sounds awesome. Yeah, here's how the Kiss 100 usually goes for me. Can hang with the lead group usually about the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And then I die for a good half hour. Hopefully group up with some people. And then oftentimes there's like a... And then usually I get caught by the chase group and end up riding with them for a while. And sometimes that breaks up. Sometimes I can get out ahead with one or two people. Sometimes I get dropped from the second group. But then usually towards the end, I start feeling better, going a little faster. But, oh, that last half hour is always just torturous. Yeah, people drop out a lot because it just hurts. It's a long race. It's longer than honestly I care to do. But for me, it's hard to find something that's more of like an ideal distance. For whatever reason, the races tend to either be shorter, where they're like 45 minutes to an hour, or it's like the Kiss 100. So last weekend when I did it, I just had to just pedal myself in for the last like 30, 40 minutes because we literally had no food in the house. I had not been grocery shopping. And we ran out of gels. So all I had before the race was like some old potatoes. It was gross. I was so hungry. I was like desperate for something to eat. I ate one of the kids' like half open applesauce squeezy pouches that was sitting here and then got a stomach cramp and had to ride like the last half hour of the race like that. So stupid. Yeah, so this weekend is endurance race. The next weekend is our next big series race. That's a little more north in Wisconsin, up in the big pine woods. Fast course, lots of climbing. Season goals for Nathan and I would be to both win this year. That's what we're hoping for, shooting for, even praying for. I think I'm a big fan of setting big goals, but I think it's pretty reachable for both of us. And seriously, I mean, how awesome would that be? I don't know how many more years I'm going to keep training and racing like a maniac like this. So, I mean, for one, for it to be, there'd be so many firsts and like oddities there. For the series to be won by a husband and wife couple, I mean, nothing like that has ever come close to happening before. But on top of it, you know, us with this big family, also in 25 years of existence, this series has never been won by a woman who was a mother. So, there'd be so many things about that would be so cool. So that's for sure our hopes and goals for this season. Yeah, Frank says, was a bridesmaid too many times last season, right? Yeah, so even though I finished third on Saturday, the two women ahead of me were not registered series riders. So I'll start next race as series leader, which has never happened to me before. So that's encouraging. Kurt says, I got off the bike after the Kiss 100. Told your wife it was just like a in real life race. It was so hard. Yep. It's a different kind of hard. Because there's no break in the pedaling anywhere, ever. That's the part that's insane about it. Okay. To get some water down there. I can't remember, I'm not sure who asked about the fans, but oftentimes on recovery rides, I'll have just one small fan going, or sometimes none, because I treat it like more of like a heat training, sweat it out kind of ride. It's good to do those over the winter, because then it's not such a shocker once the summer heat comes, and it's not like you have to adapt to it all over again. Frank says coasting on is Zwift. On Zwift is like a coaster break. Yeah, maybe some people get to occasionally stop pedaling. I see that on the avatars. But interestingly enough, Zwift is realistic enough that so when you're drafting or on a flat or a downhill, whatever, and this is what would always happen to me too in real life group rides, which I don't care for at all and I haven't done in years, but I can climb really well because I'm really light, and it makes a much bigger difference on the road than it does on the mountain bike, because on the road your wheels can roll so freely. But then when it came to the flats or the downhills, all these guys would be coasting and tucked in behind each other, and I would still have to be pedaling like a maniac just to stay on their draft. So I find that happens to me in Zwift racing also. I'll see the guys, if their trainer has a cadence sensor too, but legs stop moving a little bit here and there. If they're like pacing or trading off or drafting, and I never, ever have that happen. Yeah, right. So that's the cool thing too, Chris, is in real life, you can't see people over a minute behind you creeping up on you. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, that was like my race on Saturday, where there's a couple people horse marshaling, and if they're nice and active and engaged in the race, they'll give you time splits. So I kept hearing the last half of the race that I was getting closer and closer to the person in front of me, even though I couldn't often see them until the end. This course is more open, so then I could see the whole last lap that she was just around the corner. But yeah, you don't often get that in real life. It does make you push way harder to be able to see, who's right ahead of you, if you can catch them, who's creeping up behind you. It's pretty awesome. The Rush says, winter in Australia is summer in other countries. Yeah, things like that are interesting to try to keep track of now with Zwift being so global and interacting with people from all over the place. The other thing that tends to be problematic about KISS 100 is by the end of it, my sit bones feel like something really bad. I don't know if anyone else has that happen, but oh my goodness. I never have that happen outside like that, no matter how long I'm riding. It's 6 hours or whatever. And I try to remind myself to stand up, move around as much as I can, but this doesn't quite do it the same. All right, well, I'm going to about wrap it up here for today. I usually go for about an hour. On Tuesday mornings. But due to the crazy nature of the last couple days, our weekend, I need to get moving on this day. There's so many things I try to cram into the course of a day. Sometimes I'm gonna try to put this out there ahead of time more, like on Facebook, probably on the Zwift Riders page, but it's often that people, when they join the chat, will have something to ask about training or what type of workouts they want to do, or a lot of stuff maybe about like weight loss often too. So I want to try to start collecting like questions, maybe ahead of time before the streams, and be more prepared to get at some of those. It's kind of a nice like little well, it's a good opportunity for a whole bunch of different things. So I'll maybe describe some of that more in a post. But that's interesting to you, or you know anybody else that's interested in that, let me know. Shoot me a message. All right, as usual, thank you guys so much for joining the chat, being a part of it here. You guys make it way more interesting. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Maybe I'll stream the Kiss 100 this Sunday if I end up doing that. All right, awesome. Thank you guys. Have a great day.